Kachikachiyama by Meso Koshiyama. Once upon a time, there was an old man and an old woman. The grandfather was always working in the fields. Then, a furry tanuki appeared from the mountain behind the house. The grandfather was also at a loss, so he set a trap for it. One day, the tanuki finally got caught in the trap. The grandfather jumped up in joy. He said, "Oh, you're a good tanuki. I've finally caught you." He tied up the tanuki's legs and carried it home. Then, at the temple, I hung it from a beam. I tied it up so the old woman wouldn't miss it. I'll make a tanuki juru by the time I get back. And then, with the tanuki tied up and hanging, the old woman took out the mill and started pounding wheat. After a while, she thought, I'm exhausted. Why would someone like you help me? When I untied the rope, instead of helping her, she ran away right away. No, I'm already caught, so why would I run away now? Well, try letting it go. He's asking so persistently. The old woman seems to take the raccoon seriously, unties the rope and lets it go. Then the raccoon says, "Oh dear," and rubs his tied up legs. Then he says, "I'll help you," takes the old woman's pestle and pretends to pound wheat. Suddenly slams the pestle down from the old woman's pishul. Soon after, the old woman rolled her eyes, collapsed, and died. The tanuki immediately cooked the old woman and made her some old hag soup instead of tanuki soup, and disguised himself as the old woman. He sat in front of the stove, with his face on, waiting for the old man to come home. When evening came, the old man, unaware of anything, thought that he would be able to eat tanuki soup that night, and smiled to himself. He hurried to the tanuki's old woman's house. "So this is delicious," he said, smacking his lips and asking for a second helping of Granny's soup. He became so absorbed in eating it. When the tanuki grandmother saw this, she couldn't help but laugh, revealing the tanuki's true identity on the cover. The old man who ate the granny. "Look at the bones under the sink," the tanuki said as he stuck out his big tail and ran out the back door. The old man was so shocked and disappointed that he fainted. Then the old lady under the sink. He was crying and holding the bones of his father. Then the old man asked, "Grandpa, Grandpa, what's wrong?" Then the white rabbit from Ira Mountain came in. "Oh, it's the rabbit. Please come. Please listen. I've had a terrible experience," the old man said, and explained the whole story. The rabbit was very angry and said, "That was a terrible thing, but I'll definitely get revenge for you, so don't worry," he said confidently. The old man shed tears of joy and said, "Oh, please, please. I'm really frustrated and can't stand it. Don't worry, I'll lure the raccoon out tomorrow and make it a terrible experience." "Wait for a while," the rabbit said, and went back. Then the raccoon ran out of the old man's house. But he was scared, so he didn't go out anywhere and just stayed in the eel. Then one day, the rabbit, with his hat in his hands, he went to the hole where the tanuki was hiding, took out his hat, and repeatedly borrowed strawberries. While borrowing strawberries, he took out the chestnuts he had brought in his bag and munched away. The tanuki heard the sound and came out of the hole. "Rabbit, Rabbit, what are you eating so deliciously? Can you give me some chestnuts? I'll give them to you. I'll carry half of this lawn to the mountain over there. Please go ahead." sad. The Tanuki wanted chestnuts, so he had no choice. He carried the grass on his back and walked ahead. When he reached the mountain on the other side, the Tanuki looked back. Rabbit, Rabbit, can you give me a chestnut? Yes, I'll give it to you. If I go to the other mountain. He had no choice, so he walked ahead again. When he went to the other mountain on the other side, the Tanuki looked back and asked the rabbit, 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 can you give me a chestnut? Can you give it to me? Yes, I'll give it to you, but you'd better go to the other mountain as well. I'm sure I'll give it to you next time. So there's no other way, so the Tanuki goes ahead again. This time he wants to get to the other mountain as quickly as possible. Without looking back, he walks away diligently. Usagi takes the time to pull out a flint from his pocket and starts to light the fire. The Tanuki thinks it's strange and asks, Usagi, what's that clattering thing? This mountain is a clattering mountain. Okay, I see, says the Tanuki, and starts walking again. The fire the rabbit had started soon spread to the grass on the raccoon's back, and it started to burn. The raccoon was also confused and asked, Rabbit, Rabbit, what does Bobo mean? Because the mountain over there is a Bobo mountain. Oh, I see, the raccoon said, and the fire had already spread to his back. The raccoon ran off as fast as he could, screaming, It's hot! It's hot! Help me! The mountain wind came from behind. The raccoon cried out in pain, rolling around and finally shaking off the burning grass and running into his hole. The rabbit deliberately shouted loudly, Oh, no, it's a fire! It's a fire! And went home. The next day, the rabbit rubbed some chili pepper into the and made medicine, which he took to the raccoon. The raccoon was in the middle of his back. He was burned and rolled around in the pitch-black hole, groaning. Tanuki-san, Tanuki-san, you really had a terrible experience yesterday. Oh, you really had a terrible experience with this big burn. I wonder how it's going to heal. I feel so sorry for you. So I brought you the most effective medicine for burns. Is that so? That's a great help. I'll have you applied it right away. The Tanuki said this, and the rabbit looked at him and said, smiling, What's up, Tanuki-san? Well, the tingling sensation only lasts for a while, and then it goes away, so press your butt for a while. And then he goes back. Then he gets up on the ladder. One day the rabbit wonders what the Tanuki is up to. Next time he'll take him out to the sea and give him a hard time. Then let's leave the mountain and go to the sea this time. The rabbit makes a wooden boat. The Tanuki was jealous and copied him and made an earthen boat. Then the boat came out. When the rabbit got up, he got on the wooden boat. The Tanuki said, That's great, that's fun. So they exchanged numbers, 1, 2, 3, and started rowing away. The rabbit banged on the boat and said, How is the wooden boat? Then the Tanuki, not wanting to give up, banged on the boat and said, Don't worry, the clay boat is heavy and sturdy. Slowly, the water started to seep in and the clay boat started to collapse. Oh no, the boat is collapsing. The Tanuki was shocked and started to make a fuss. Oh, I'm sinking, help me. The rabbit watched the Tanuki panic with amusement and said, Serves you right. Look, you tricked and killed the old woman and gave the old man a stinging bastard. That's revenge. The tanuki said, "I won't do that again, so help me," and bowed to the rabbit. Soon the boat started to collapse, and before long the tanuki was finished.